Does anybody know what the plate method is? Your round plate, okay? Your round plate like that. Half your plate, we want it to be the low carbohydrate, the non-starchy vegetables. Most veggies are actually low carbohydrate. So radishes, fennel, cucumbers, asparagus, eggplant, mushrooms, they're low carbohydrate. The other ones that are higher in carbohydrate, they're still healthy. They're still healthy. We still want you to have them. But they're more starchy. So those are the ones that grow underground. Potatoes, yams, carrots, parsnip, peas are kind of the only one that grow above ground that are more starchy, and squashes. So those are good too. But you want that one to occupy a quarter of your plate, and then the other quarter of your plate would be protein. Several eggs a week, could be meat. Like we try to promote grass-fed, grass-finished, because again, the health of the animal also determines the quality of the protein you're eating. Chicken, fish, shellfish, tofu. Tofu is another really, really good protein, right?
Another simple trick, and I think you mentioned this before, is if you eat the non-starchy veggies and protein first and then get to the starchy veggies, that's a trick to kind of reduce those starchy veggies glucose spike. It can literally be the same thing on the plate, but the order you do it makes a big difference.
And for anybody, if anybody here has diabetes, one of the little tricks as well is to eat your non-starchy vegetables with something acidic. That will actually mitigate what we call the glycemic response, meaning that the blood sugar won't go up as quickly or as high. The French do their salad with their vinaigrette before they eat. Not only does it have an effect on how much you're going to eat of the rest of your food, it has an effect on your blood sugars.
Question and answers and/or positive stories. Anybody want to share? Okay.
You said 3 or 4 eggs a week.
I'm going to say that this is always, yes, there's some cholesterol in eggs. It's not that much, right? There's things that affect our lipids, our cholesterol. Eggs are not a huge contributor. And if you are eating still a lot of animal protein, then I agree to stick to maybe 4. If you're eating much, much, much less animal protein, like a diet that's a little bit more vegan, so with more tofu, with more legumes, I would say you could eat a little bit more eggs.
But the new research says that it doesn't really affect your blood lipids.
The yolk has saturated fat, but the saturated fat, it's not a lot. It's about 4 grams in a yolk. That's not a huge amount.
Yeah.
So if you're not eating a lot of saturated fat from other sources, let's say you're huge beef and pork and lamb eater or something like that, where you eat that every day and you're eating that many eggs, then your saturated fat in your diet is too high. But again, if you have a diet that's a bit more varied, there's more fish, there's more legumes, there's more tofu, there's less saturated fat, then I wouldn't worry too much about it.
As we get older, I have more difficulties digesting fresh vegetables.
Some people get more issues with reflux and whatnot. What I suggest with that is try to figure out which ones bother you, because it's usually not all of them.
No.
And for those that bother you, you can steam them. Steaming a vegetable lightly will actually alter, again, the protein in it, and it will often make it a lot more digestible. Cooked vegetables versus raw vegetables have different phytochemicals. Like, for example, a raw tomato is very, very high in vitamin C, but it has no lycopene. When you cook a tomato, you get very high amounts of lycopene. Lycopene is actually really good, especially for the gentlemen, it can help reduce risk of prostate cancer, right? But you don't get lycopene in a raw tomato. And you kill the vitamin C when you cook the tomato. So a raw tomato is good for one thing, a cooked tomato is good for another thing. So when people say, well, I eat only a raw diet, well, no, you're missing out on all the benefits of some of these cooked things. Or when you eat everything cooked, well, you're missing out on some of the benefits of some of the raw things. And also not just that, all kinds of enzymes. There's a lot of enzymes in our raw vegetables too, right?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, is you do kill off the enzymes when you heat. A lot of people allergic to apples can actually eat applesauce, because the cooking of the apple alters the protein and changes the allergenicity. Same for carrots. A lot of people can't eat raw carrots, but then if they cook the carrots, they're okay with them. So I'm talking more from an allergenicity perspective, but in terms of what feels right and what doesn't feel right, your body will tell you. If you pay attention, most of us don't pay attention. We eat too quickly. One of the first recommendations that I used to give people when I worked in outpatients is to raise the head of your bed a little bit. But it makes a big, big difference because oftentimes when you're lying completely flat, the sphincter that connects the esophagus to the stomach, as we get older, it becomes a little bit more slack. Right? So often when we're lying flat, the contents of our stomach will start to flow up. A blanket fairly thick and putting it between that will raise the head of your bed a little bit, will make a big difference in terms of reflux.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea.
Diane, can you talk a little bit about like the timing? Like, so when we think about like mindfulness, also like in terms of what times of day?
Well, that's
And
different.
what-
That's different for everyone. There's an optimal time to not eat. Think about when you were young and you grew up. We had dinner at 6. We ate. We did the dishes. We didn't eat after that. So we would finish eating, let's say at 6:30 or 7. We weren't eating till breakfast the next day. We were getting a full 12 hours of no food. If you can do 12 hours, that's ideal as a start. If you can do 13, 14, some people can do a little bit longer, it's ideal. Now, for eating breakfast, I never felt hungry in the morning, ever, 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 ever. Do you know, when I retired 4 years ago from the hospital, I realized that my ideal time to start eating is about 11:30. That's when I actually get physically hungry. We're all different. Some people wake up hungry. So listen to your hunger cues too, right? We have what's called mouth hunger, we have heart hunger, and we have like body hunger. So body hunger is where we're hungry. Our stomach's growling, we need to eat. I'm a mouth hunger person. You know what? If it tastes good, I'm gonna want a second plateful. And then we have something that we describe as heart hunger. That's often a hunger that is more from an emotional perspective. Sometimes we're wanting to stuff down emotions. We might be feeling stressed. Some people eat to stuff down the emotions. When you feel hungry, sit down with yourself for a little bit. What kind of hunger am I feeling? Am I feeling hungry because I'm seeing a plate of cookies on my counter there and they've just come out of the oven and they smell really good? So we're all different, right? So listen to your own body's rhythms.